Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today I wanted to take a closer look at PvE Rotation with you guys. I spent basically all night last night doing heroics and time walking dungeons with different abilities, testing things out, and trying to get an all-around sense of where Frost EKs are at in the PvE world in 7.0.3 pre-patch. So I've got a little system made out for you guys and a good explanation for certain abilities and talents, how you're going to use them inside dungeons or raids or stuff right now, because it seems a lot of people are really confused about the PvE side of things. So I'm going to explain what the different builds are going to give you, and I really found something absolutely insane with one of the rotations, and I'll show you inside a heroic on a boss, just so you guys can see it firsthand with Recount. But let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. So basically what I got here, guys, is a rotation that's good for consistent damage and a rotation that's good for extreme burst damage for bosses and deals a little bit less on trash mobs. Now, what I found is you can go, instead of Runic Entombment, you can use Frost Scythe for PvE, and you can go Glacial Advance. This will give you a consistent AoE rotation that only relies on one rune, so you have very minimal downtime, that can deal quite a bit of pressure on AoE mob pulls. We're talking on multiple mob pulls with using Frost Scythe and Glacial Advance, and since it only costs one rune to use these abilities, you don't really get downtime, so you don't need many of the fillers, or any at all really, with this rotation. So generally on my character, single target right now on an ad, I'll probably do somewhere between 25 to 30k. I mean, I'm in full PvP gear, and of course with my legendary ring, and of course I got some 725s also. But basically, I'm pulling from roughly around 20 to 30k, I'd say, on single target trash pulls, no cooldowns, of course. And once I use these on average, single target, I'd say I do roughly around 35k. But when it comes to AoE pulls, I usually pull around 40k with my normal breath spec. And with the Glacial Advance and Frost Scythe, I can pull from 50 to 55 to 60k on AoE pulls. But with the breath spec, we're going to pull some insane single target in these in this heroic. It seems we got a popular. Let's go ahead and jump into this, and I'll show you guys the breath spec DPS. Now this is going to be a good comparison. So in our group here for the heroic, we have another Death Knight in the group that's using the Obliteration single target spec. Now on AoE pulls like this, he has the potential to actually do quite a bit more damage than I am, since his cooldowns reside on a smaller cooldown. But they actually took breath from 3 minutes down to 2 minutes, so I may be able to make up for a lot of that damage if I really wanted to, but I'm really just saving my burst for the boss so you guys can see the moneymaker DPS burst. Now, there's been a lot of people saying that Frost DKs don't have a lot of damage. Now guys, I'm going to show you exactly why Frost DKs have a lot of damage and how to put out that insane pressure here in this video, of course, once we get to the boss. I mean, you should never say Frost DKs don't have damage after seeing this. Like, this is absolutely insane. And keep in mind, guys, I will be using my legendary ring in this video, as it will buff up my DPS, I'd say about 40 to 50k. But other than that, about 120,000 of it to about 100,000, I just missed that like terribly. About 120,000 of it to about 100,000 of it's just going to be my pure burst. Maybe even more. So you guys will definitely see here in just a moment what exactly is going to come of that. As for rotation, I mean, basically we're going to be using, of course, that one-shot macro we went over yesterday on the PvP side of the video. And really, you guys are going to see. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's coming. Right now, see, like right now, this is the single target build. I'm pulling 45k AoE. Like, honestly, there isn't too much of a difference when you switch up those talents when it comes to clearing trash mobs, besides that they have such a small cooldown that you can utilize those abilities a bit more. And if you get lucky, you may deal a bit more damage. But one of the problems I noticed was the consistency of Frost Scythe was so low on procs and getting crits. I found myself just spamming Frost Scythe most of the time just to keep up damage, trying to keep up, than actually dealing major pressure. So that was kind of depressing on that side. Alright, so this last pull, I'm not going to use any of my cooldown abilities, just to make sure that I have a massive amount of runic power for this boss. Alright, we're going in. I'm going to just build up runic power for when he comes out. Now guys, keep in mind when this boss comes out, we're going to do something pretty wild here. Alright, we're just going to stack up this runic power. We're just going to let our runes go off cooldown. Alright, waiting for them to kill this guy. We'll just kind of melee him off. We're going to reset cooldown right here at the end of this, right when the boss basically pops out. And we're just going to go ham on this boss, just as ham as possible. Alright, boss is out as soon as we attack him. Boom! Going out full burst mode on this guy. Looks like we're tanking for some reason. It's because we're applying too much pressure, probably. Just doing an insane amount of damage to this guy. It looks like he actually got out of our range, so we'll actually lose some of the damage. We're just going to keep up consistent pressure here. Major pressure. We lost a lot when he kited us away. We're hitting about 100k single target, which honestly, I haven't seen any other classes peak above 100k in PvE yet. So it'll be kind of cool to see other classes do that. But I haven't done it. Maybe they just need the right gear. Maybe it's not the gear. Maybe it's abilities. But I gotta say, as you can see from this video, guys, that we definitely have some insane damage, some insane burst if you're using that damage, throwing in the correct abilities, and blowing that rotation. This is in PvE and PvP, guys. This button is not limiting, of course. So you can imagine if you're pumping out, 80k plus DPS in PvP, and we only have, 400k life, you could kill somebody within a breath, easily. Within a breath, easily. You can even make it last long enough to go through a bubble, and then still kill somebody with that breath. I mean, I think I can make mine last for around 20-something seconds. Generally, my breath lasts longer than boss fights because we're doing so much pressure with it inside PvE. But other than that, guys, that's going to be my discussion talking about Frost Scythe, Glacial Advance, talking about some PvE DPS. Now, when it comes to probably boss battles and raids, I'll probably have to go with, I don't think I'll take Frost Scythe for the single target pressure, but I still will probably take Glacial Advance for the consistency for the damage and rating, but I'm really going to have to test it out, because if I can get my DPS to peak so high within the start, it'll actually most likely end up dwarfing the damage of the consistent damage than, of course, the consistent spec. So I mean, we're really gonna have to test that out. Alright, so we got multiple target bosses here, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and record this, and I might throw it in the video for fun, but who knows. What I'm gonna do is actually just get up my runic power on these guys, and oh my goodness, I don't know why we just keep switching. I'm actually gonna throw in pressure on these two right here, throwing out my big burst damage, throwing out the AoE pressure, interrupting that water bolt. We're gonna go for just the biggest burst we can for this. I don't know why we used empowered rune weapons so early. It was probably a terrible idea, but that's okay. We could have kept it up a lot longer. I'm actually just going to AMS that and keep in damage with this pressure. Looks like ring just proc. We're pulling over 100k. Now, if you notice, this other DK's DPS is sitting about 25k. That's because we just dwarfed the living crap out of everyone in the group's damage, allowing our damage to peak up to an insane amount. You'll notice before this patch, like, arcane mages and frost mages were amazing at that. They could do that to people so easily within raids and things like that. But I'd have to say we're really, really good at doing that with this kind of spec in heroics, PvE, things like that. Again, I still have to test it in raids to see if it holds up against bosses. But all in all, I'd have to say this is going to be the really solid way to go for PvE right now. Alright, going up against the next boss. It looks like we actually have quite a bit of runic power here. I'm just going to dump on this guy. Throwing up a ring, just going to try and kill her as fast as possible. I believe she has some kind of damage mitigation right here. So we may not peak as high as we usually do, but that's okay. We'll still do a lot of damage to her. Probably put her down. Let's see if we can put her down before breath ends. I think we'll almost make it. Nope, we did it. Good game. Put her down with breath. Did like 117k on that pull. That wasn't bad at all. We went ham with that breath burst. Like we made it to the last boss. We're starting up the fight. I have a few seconds left on my cooldown, so I'm actually gonna wait those seconds to proc off my cooldowns. Looks like they're up. Gonna have to look at that. I'm losing like 30k DPS right now. We're gonna catch this guy. That's our goal right now, is to just straight up catch this guy. It's like 30k DPS ahead of us. We're going to blow past him, probably right around here. It looks like I actually let my ability fall off. We're actually going to finish up the procs. That's okay. We let breath fall off there. That was terrible on our part. And we had a whole Ian Power rune weapon we could have thrown in there and everything. But we'll still pull some ridiculous DPS using that breath spec. Because you can see, we just blew past that guy. He also has the legendary ring, so that's not an excuse on my part. But it's definitely the spec, guys. It's the spec. Also, I noticed with the Frost Scythe spec, you won't proc very many Howling Blast procs, which of course is going to be one of your major damage for AoE. I mean, that's how the single target spec keeps up with the Frost Scythe spec, but you got to be pretty quick on hitting those. Alright, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and as a recap on these talents, if you want to pull some crazy single target pressure, I mean, it's enough that it just makes people in the party go, did you really just blow through that boss in a single cooldown? Yeah, pretty much. Shattering Strikes, Freezing Fog, Avalanche, Winter's Coming, Permafrost, Runic Attunement, and Breath of Syndricosa. So it works pretty well, guys. And of course, if you want a little bit more consistency, less burst on bosses, try Glacial Advance or Frost Scythe. I think the max I got up to when I was bursting correctly with this spec was like 80k. And as you saw with this breath spec, I was peaking at like 110k, 120k pretty easily. If we had more buffs, you know, raid setting, we could be pulling 150 to 180k. So yeah, I hope this cleared some things up for you guys. Hope it let you know exactly what you want to do on Frost. And if you heard that Frost had no damage, obviously we do. We have quite a bit of burst damage. It's actually like our bread and butter is how much burst we have. I wanted to give you guys a review on those PvE talents and let you know what's going to be dealing just a ton of damage. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit that like button if it helped you out, anything like that. And until next time, this was your boy Hazzed.